Hello everyone, welcome to another Troops on Parade feature, and today I'm going to have a look at my Punic Wars Republican Romans. And if you're following the blog or any of the Yorkshire Gamer social media feeds, you'll have seen the build of the Legion on the left, the White Legion or the Italian Allied Legion, during the course of the Analog Hobbies Winter Paint Challenge. And very quickly, the Legion on the right, the Roman Legion, has grown up next to it, and that's very simply because I painted that about 15 years ago, and it just needed a little bit of tarting up on the bases to match them with the new Legion to get us to where we are today. So this forms half, yes, half of a consular army. At some stage of the future, I'm sure I'll add another 2 legions to this, and traditionally the Roman legions would set up in the middle with the Italian allied legions either flank. So you are looking at the right side of half of a future army. So there we go. I'll dip down and move the camera and have a look a little bit closer at some of the units. So let's start with the Roman Legion, or the Red Legion. And as I said, these are quite old now, and they are from a company called Gripping Beast. 28mm figures, obviously. This is Yorkshire Gamer, what else would one expect? And you're looking at the command bases and the wonderful Samsung S20 focusing on one thing and not on anything else. So we've got the commander of the Legion, 3 figures there on a 100mm base, and then just behind him, I'll change the focus, we've got a 2 figure base there for the Cavalry commander, and on the right here a 2 figure base for the Infantry. And this is the famous Bradford City Legion, the Fighting Bantams. If that, believe that's true, you believe anything. So there we go, that's the command bases. And at the front of the unit we've got the Velite, and these are 2 figures. They are based on 60 by 30. Once again, the joy of this camera's focusing. So yeah, these are 60 by 30, and the Legion is 1 to 20 roughly scale, and you should have the same number of Velite as you should have Principe and Astarte. But what I did find is that playing games with these, it's just miles too many skirmishes and they become a right pain in the backside. So what I've done is I've got the same number of bases of the Velite as the Astarte and Principe, rather than the same number of figures. And if you've not seen, these aren't based for any particular rule set. I tend to base stuff as I like them, and pick a rule set later on and then change the rule set to my basing. The Velite are based in single ranks just to give us a little bit of flexibility. And while we're here, we may as well move on to the second line just behind. And you can see there a unit of Astarte. They've got pectoral armour, and it's based on 60 by 60 bases, 8 figures to a base, which is roughly what the old DBA, DBM rules would have been for 25mm. They used to have 60mm frontage with 4 figures for heavy, 3 figures for medium, 2 figures for light. And I've just double ranked them because of the size of the games that we play here. By doing that, I've effectively reduced half the number of bases that we need to move each turn. The Gripping Beasts figures are absolutely gorgeous. They're quite a bit smaller than the Victrix, as we'll see later on, but they've got some great detail. And I remember I first picked boxes of these up from Dave Thomas at Recon, and it must have been 15-20 years ago when I picked these up and started to build this half of the army. And it's always been a bit of problem child, Ancients, because I've started it and stopped it and started and stopped it, mostly because I've never found a set of rules. So fingers crossed that Mortimer Glorium, the rule set that we're going to have a look at, will be accepted by everyone here at Yarkshire Gamer, and we can get some ancient gamings in. So there's the Hastati for the Roman Legion, and focus next on the next line, which is the Principe. And these guys with the Roman Principe have got mail shirts and traditional pillarman scutum shield, and they're based up and set up in a very, very approximate idea of the triple axis. I'm going to look at the various possibilities of how they would fight with these rules once we've got into the rules, and how I'm going to bend the rules to make them work in whichever historical method of fighting that you believe, because nobody knows how they fought in the triple axis. So that's the Principe, and behind them is of course the Triarii. I base these double ranked again. I did think about doing them single rank, so they stretched along the back of the Legion, but too much of a pain, and I don't think they look particularly nice single ranked when everything else is double ranked. Did these a long time ago, and I got a bit excited, I think, with these pike, because they're a bit of a pike. They're a bit, these spear there, because they're a bit of a half pike really. I do love these gripping beast figures, front rank kneeling, rear rank behind. Very, very, very nice figures. So I'll just use shaky cam and I'll come back out and just have a look there at the whole of the Roman Legion, the Red Legion in all its glory. Just before we move on to the White Legion, just to show you the difference in size. I know there's a lot of debate around now about, some people are saying, oh, it doesn't really matter mixing up units. I think with these it does. I've got to say with these it does. These gripping beasts compared to these Victrix, there is an absolutely ginormous difference. This is kind of 25s versus 32s, I think. This is a huge, huge difference in scale. So when they're all together, and I will just shaky cam again, looking down the centre of the two legions, next to each other they don't look too bad in individual units, but I think if you mix these up they would just look absolutely dreadful. They really would. So anyway, there's my little bit. So let's go back to the White Legion. You'll have seen most of this fairly recently, so we're not going to dwell too much on them. Sorry for the bit of finger there. So this is the command bases for the Allied Legion, and as you can see here we've got the 3-figure command base, which will one day go into focus. Probably won't, because they never do. And next to them we've got the Cavalry Commander and the Infantry Commander left and right, and then exactly the same setup as we had for the Red Legion. So we've got the Veletae at the front again. We've got half the number of figures that we should have, but the correct number of bases, so I'm going to stick with that. And we've got in here, we've got some gripping beast mixed in with some Victrix as well. The gripping beast, they are levies, the original 4th line of the Republican Legion, and they mix in a little bit better. You can tell the difference. These are the gripping beast ones here, and these are Victrix next to them. So you can tell the difference, but it's not massive. And then just shaky cam, moving on to the Hastati. These are all Victrix figures now. There's the odd Ajima figure in there. And if we lift up, we can see this line has got 4 lots of 16. And with these, with the selection of figures that you get in the box for the Italian Allied Legion, I've gone for the figures that have got limited armour. Some of them have got no armour because they only sell them in boxes of 60, so you've kind of got to work around that, because you can't just pop and buy 8 figures to fill some stuff out. So some of the guys are Velite figures, they haven't got any armour on. But I think if you've just been promoted from the Velite to the Hastati, you're waiting to nick some armour or get some armour, then you could well have gone into the front line with no armour on. All the helmets in the Hastati are unplumed apart from the leaders, and that's just a battlefield recognition thing for me. And we will see as we move back down the line how I've used that to distinguish the different lines of troops. So here we have the next line, the Principe, and for these I've got more armour. They've all got pectoral armour in this. Some of them have got cuirassier as well. And if you notice, most of them, in fact all of them, have got 2 plumes on the helmet. 2 plumes, second line. Oh, see what I did there? A lot easier on the battlefield to recognise who's who and what's what. And I've done a very, very similar thing. Let's use shaky cam for the Triarii at the back, who have got, would you believe, 3 or a massive amount of plumage and a proper size spear. They're from Victrix, all these models on this side. And just looking at the cavalry for these, which I forgot to do on the other side, I've gone for Aventine with these, and very nice they are too. A lot smaller than the Victrix. I think if I would have gone for Victrix for the cavalry, then I wouldn't have been able to fit them all on the table. Sorry, on the bases, and I've discussed that before. The size of the Victrix horses means that 3 side by side on a 60 by 60, if you can get them on, is extremely tight. So let's do a panoramic view of the legions. So we'll come out and you can see there the Italian cavalry on the left, 2 units of 12, panning along the White Legion. We've got Velite, then no plumes on the Hastati, 2 plumes on the Principe, 3 on the Triarii, and then moving along nicely into the Red Legion. We can see here that I've done a similar thing with the lines there. I have got white plumes for the Hastati, red plumes for the Principe, and half pikes for the Triarii. The one unit we didn't look at when we were over here was the Roman cavalry, and one of the big weaknesses of this army is the size of the cavalry, and I'm going to get some new Midians towards Christmas time to make up for that. So there we go, there's the legion in its entirety, or 2 legions even. So there we go, that's the current state of play with the Republican Roman army. As I say, I'll build up another couple of legions eventually, but I need to work a little bit more on my Carthaginians to get a similar size army to match. One thing with this period of ancients is that because of the 3 lines, you're getting a high number of figures in a relatively short space. So this army here with no flanks is deploying in less than 6 foot. So to fill the 12 by 6 foot table here, which if you've listened to the podcast I don't think is particularly big, we'd need twice this number of figures. We've got, let's say, just shy of 450 here, and so we'd need 1,000 figures probably for a consular army, which in terms of games here is not that big. So let's see. It'll be a couple of 3 years, I would think, before I get anywhere near getting that. And like I say, we'll build up some Carthaginians over the rest of the year and get some big games going very soon. Hope you've enjoyed that little trip round the Republican Legion, and we'll see you very soon. See you.